Memories, clouds alone in the life stream. He can smile at the old days when he thought he was Zack. Tifa finds him and understands how mixed up Cloud was. Barrett rides a submarine. Rocket! Sid blasts off in a rocket!
One note, it should have been messed up because that's Tifa's line about Cloud.
You know, I wrote it as messed up, but then I was thinking that would be judgmental about people with mental health issues, so I changed it to mixed up instead.
Ah, okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by Matthew Van Zant.
Hey yo,
Johnny Proud Claude Brandon.
What? Why would you name your robot that?
I don't know. I thought it was Proud Cloud for years until I replayed it in my 20s. And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
And this is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs, one chunkorino at a time.
Prod Claude.
Prod?
Prod Claude.
No,
Proud
it's Proud
Claude.
Claude.
The
Proud
Proud
Claude.
Claude.
Prod Claude.
Guys, if you haven't been able to tell by now, we are playing Final Fantasy VII. This is part 9, the penultimate episode in our Final Fantasy VII series.
Wait, I get a pen?
Yep. An Ultima casting pen.
Ooh.
Don't.
Is this a Patreon thing or what's going on?
Don't point that at the president.
Unless it's the president of Shinra.
Exactly.
So,
Prod
guys, before we get into it, let's talk about how we leveled up this past week. I want to know how Vanessa leveled up.
We all
Yes. I have been watching many bad movies. I essentially have decided that every evening I will watch one bad movie all by myself. So the movies I can remember that I watched were Isn't It Romantic? The movie where Rebel Wilson falls into a alternate universe that is a romantic comedy universe. So all the cliches are there.
This sounds amazing.
It was actually much better than I thought it would be. It's Rebel Wilson, Adam Devine, and the other Hemsworth. Yeah, so I was delightfully surprised by it. I expected it would be a whole bunch of like fat jokes and shit, but it really wasn't. Then I watched Annabelle Comes Home, the only Annabelle movie I have ever watched.
Where does Annabelle come?
Annabelle Comes Home.
So these are about a sexy doll or a scary doll?
A scary doll.
Okay.
It's part of a whole series of them. And
Part of the Conjuring universe,
It
right?
is part of the Conjuring universe. Featuring The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, The Nun, Annabelle. Annabelle does something else. And finally, Annabelle Comes Home.
There's 3 Annabelle movies?
Either 3 or 2. I'm not really
There's
sure.
at least 3.
There's like 6 Conjuring movies by now, right?
Yeah, and there's aren't there others? What was the one that was like nuns? There were nuns in like Eastern Europe. I know it was
Yes,
Nun.
that was
She
The
said that.
Nun.
and that was another Conjuring spinoff, right?
Yeah, she mentioned that one.
Oh, sorry.
Mhm. Yeah, it's essentially any horror movie where they can wedge those two people in and be like, oh, we're the investigators. They weren't really in this one very much.
Is that the tie-in? Boy, that's rough.
Yeah, that's
Those are
it.
the worst. Those are the worst characters in that shit in that first Conjuring movie.
Well, since they're based off of real life con artists, I agree. Also, I watched a movie called Level 16. I'm not sure if this movie ever came out in theaters. It's available on Showtime now. It's about a group of girls who start out as children and then eventually become 16.
Like we all do.
They live in a windowless sort of boarding school kind of place. And then once they turn 16, they're told that eventually, pretty soon, they're going to be adopted into families who will love them. And then two of them decide to find out what is really going on. At this point, I am going to tell you what is really going on because it's so stupid.
Oh boy. Okay, but
so
skip
listeners-
ahead.
Should we guess first?
Yes, you
Spoiler
should all
alert.
guess first.
They're being passed off to rich billionaires who eat them for Thanksgiving dinner.
No.
Here's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Their bodies will be used by rich billionaires as new bodies.
Very close.
Okay.
Jim?
I'm gonna say they will be used for energy a la the Matrix.
No. The secret is they have been kept in this underground so their skin would be perfect and rich women come and get their faces swapped.
Whoa,
It's like a Parts the Clonus Horror or the Island.
It's like a face-off.
It's like a face-off, but the girls die.
So like Parts the Clonus Horror or the Island.
Yeah. I also
Oh.
watched The Island, which I had never seen.
That movie's not very good.
It's
It's also
alright.
super orange. That whenever I imagine a frame of that movie in my mind, it's orange.
I think it's my favorite Michael Bay movie, but that is really not saying much.
That's
Really?
true.
And it was also sued by the creators of Parts the Clonus Horror because they legitimately ripped the plot of Parts the Clonus Horror. They're the same movie,
Oh.
except one had
Huh.
no budget. And one had like the most amount of product placement I've ever seen in a movie. The Island is nuts.
The Island, dude, it is top to bottom product placement.
I noticed that. They were like standing outside of Bank of America and shit like that. And we're just like, oh, wow, Bank of
Here's
America,
your
amazing.
Adidas's and your Nikes. How about your
Yeah.
Seiko watch? Look at this beautifully parked Chevy Avalanche.
Yeah, it was bananas. Those are the only movies I can remember watching. I've probably watched more than that. But mostly I don't pay attention to them when they're on. Ooh, I remember I watched It too.
Oh, did you like it?
Sort of.
It was fine.
Yeah. I don't think it was as good as the first one. And some of the CGI looks really unfinished. Like there were a
It
couple of
did.
bits that really looked like video game, not even current generation, but like a generation or two ago. Especially the liquids. It was
Yeah.
very strange.
And you can
I
see
think they
didn't
missed an
notice that.
opportunity at the end to go full like cosmic horror monster too. It just was a big clown spider.
and you can see Judi Dench's watch in a couple of the scenes.
I mean, it did what... No, whatever. It did what Stephen King books all do, which is, like, dance around the cosmic horror instead of actually, like, explaining what's going on and just kind
That
of leaving
book
you
was-
going, like,
that
was
book-
that a cosmic horror type thing?
That book was full on like a turtle barfed up the universe and gave them the power to defeat it. Like that one is full on cosmic.
They definitely
horror. Yeah.
destroy it by bullying it, which is a little weird.
In the original miniseries, they just push over a giant plastic spider and punch it in the belly.
Matt,
Yes, ma'am.
what else you like?
All right. Welcome to our newest segment. What else you like? I'll go first. I like the television show Community. Did you know that Community is on Netflix in the US and maybe elsewhere?
I think I might watch it.
It's fucking wonderful. I mean, it takes maybe 2 or 3 episodes to get rolling, but it's one of the best sitcoms. And I just want to close out my talk about Community by saying that season 6 of Community is a gift.
Mhm.
Thank you, Yahoo. Thank you, God, Yahoo.
I like how there's
For-
no budget in season 6. Like they don't go anywhere or do anything, but it's still really good because Paget Brewster.
It's great. They've got Paget Brewster and Keith David, and there's the virtual reality episode and the Abed shoots a sci-fi movie episode,
Mhm.
and Jim Rash really steps up and becomes a big part of the cast.
Mhm.
And it's great. It's such a good run of episodes. I haven't made it to like the last episode yet. I think maybe that one's a little bit but what are you gonna do?
I liked
6
it.
seasons in a movie. Hashtag Netflix. That's it. That's my what else do you like / level up this week. What about you, John? What else do you like?
Well, but first of all, let me admire your restraint for saving the FF7R talk for the next month. I think that is.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
That's something else I did. Let's rewind here. I also
John!
I think it's
well,
worth
it's
mentioning.
Jim and I
at
are like
least
halfway
that
through it, and Vanessa and John haven't touched it and hate it.
That's not
I'm
true.
actually
Respectively.
pretty nearly finished with
No, not
it.
respectively.
I've only got a couple chapters left.
How many chapters
I'm still
are
pretty.
I believe there are 18.
there? Oh.
I'm on like chapter 8 or 9.
I think
thought
I'm at.
it was releasing in segments.
It is, but it's
Mhm.
releasing in very large segments.
Oh,
It's like a 45 hour game.
Jesus.
They take a 6-hour
it's
chunk of
really
the game
good,
and
though.
make it real long.
I think the chunker I'm on is going to take me a long time because there are a lot of quests it throws at you before the end game, and you can go do the battle stuff. It's going to take me a while to do.
I think that our review episode on the Patreon next month will be a little punchy, unless maybe certain people end up liking it by the end.
You mean you?
I mean me.
Yeah, you're talking about yourself. Why don't you just restrain your negativity? We all really love it a lot, especially Vanessa.
I haven't played it yet.
So my level up, I have a couple of level ups. First of all,
Tell me about them.
I have been playing a game involving cosmic horror called Bloodborne.
I've watched you play it, and it is delightful watching you and Julio play Bloodborne together.
We are both professional gamers. We are.
It's actually super funny because for how serious the game is and how like carefully people play it, you're just like jaunting around, like whipping thing. You're like, oh, there's a werewolf.
Yeah, he plays it like a Zelda game. It's not.
It's really funny.
Uh-huh.
John, have you considered that not being good at some of these games is why you don't like them so much?
Yeah.
So, no, I'm kidding. You're wonderful at video games.
No, I'm not. But I'm not that bad at Bloodborne. I mean, I'm not great, but I'm not terrible. I'm better now than I was. And I do enjoy jaunting around at this like Cthulhu church. Everything's, the whole city's just this weird overgrown church, and you're walking around all the different layers. I love how vertical it is. I think that's one of the best things about it. It's like this super detailed map that's really 3D. It's like each level is sort of over a different one, and there aren't like fake fences if you can do it. If usually like there's ways of crossing and like secret shortcuts between each level, and that's really cool. And it looks like you shouldn't be able to get there, but you can like drop a little bit onto this roof and then jump onto that roof, and then there's a shortcut you can open up, and that stuff's really neat. But I'm still bad at it. I'm still getting killed by Amalia because she is a jerk. Although she's not as, I think the Bloodstained Beast was harder.
Yeah, the Bloodstar Beast is one of the harder ones.
Gascon or whatever was my first real like fuck you.
Father Gascoigne is like the first like boss you have to fight, and he's tough.
Oh.
Is that the man who sits in a chair? He got a big bowl, and he's
No.
like, I'm going to smash you with my big bowl.
I was
I don't know
thinking
what you're
of streaming.
talking about.
I downloaded Demon Souls because I thought maybe we'd play it for the podcast sometime. But maybe I should just stream that because I don't know if we'll ever really play that. It might be too hard.
I don't particularly want to play it, so I liked Bloodborne, but I didn't finish it, and I don't feel the need to like beat my head against a wall to finish any of those games.
If they do a remake that you can play on like a console we own, I think we should probably try it. But
I think it
what
would
if
be
they
fun
do
to
a
do
remake
Demon's Souls.
and they put a button on that you can click and it'll refill your health and your mana and your limit gauge?
well, then
and
you
then you
wouldn't
can
have
just
learned
omni-slash everything
anything.
to death?
You took a shortcut. You cheated the game and you cheated yourself.
Get
Feel pretty
good.
about my decision. Who's
also,
next in line
wait, hold on.
for? Oh, you're still going.
Okay, and other thing, real fast, I watched the first 2 episodes of a show called Watchmen by HBO.
Did you like
I
it?
like that show.
Yeah, I think it's
I loved it. It's so good.
it's really good. I didn't even know. I mean, you know, I didn't go there. I'm not American. The Tulsa massacre at the beginning of the show.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. No, I'd heard. Yeah. it's-
Wow. And like I went and looked it up later because it's like, is this a real? Oh wow, because you know they kind of distort history and stuff a lot in the Watchmen.
Sure.
It's kind of a thing they do, but no, that is real. And holy shit.
That is probably one of the most top to bottom well executed shows I've ever seen.
It seems like it
They're
might
not
go
doing
in
a second
some like
season, right?
I hope they don't, because the first season is perfect the way it is.
it seems like they're gonna make some like iffy statements but every time I think they're gonna go somewhere, like, oh, they don't. So far I haven't seen the last 6 episodes, but the first 2, yeah. And I gotta admit, like, watching Night, is her name Night or Night Sister?
Sister Knight.
Sister Knight, watching her beat up white supremacists, that feels very cathartic.
It does. It feels so good.
Question: have either of you read the original story that it's based on, or watched the terrible Zack Snyder movie?
I
I've done
have.
both.
I read the comic and all the weird supplemental materials it comes with, and I worked on, is this brag? I guess this is bragging. I worked on the first movie, and what I like is it seems like in the TV shows that it sometimes cuts to, it's making fun of the Zack Snyder movie. Because it's like
It is kind
shot
of,
in the
yeah.
very similar style with the same kind of like slow motion blood and stuff that you don't really get.
It's actually really interesting the way that the TV show that plays in the background plays into the themes of the show, which you'll run into later. Like everything is in service to the themes of the series, and it comes together really well.
I mean, that's what the original Watchmen does, and is one of the reasons it's so beloved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is there's a lot of it's really smart. I've heard negative stuff about it, so maybe there's stuff later on that is a little iffy. I really liked, it's like kind of one of the first times, other than maybe, what's that Sylvester Stallone future movie, Demolition Man, where it's like,
yeah, that's the best fucking movie.
talking about
You want to go to Taco Bell?
limits on cops and stuff and how they have to get authorization to remove guns. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what I think people should do with police officers. And it's exploring that in a, this is not only, not a black and white way, but in a, well, here's what would happen, good and bad, if you did that. And
that movie, or that show, also has some of the best music drops of any like it even the soundtrack to it is pretty perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, but I'm only 2 episodes in, so I'll let you know next week what I think.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Matt. No, Jim.
Nope, my turn.
Jim, how do you level up?
So I've been quarantined. Haven't done a ton, and since I
Quarantined or
won't
isolated?
I haven't been mandatorily quarantined, but I've been home a lot, and I decided, because what I do when I listen to music is I just find songs that I like and I'll add them to a playlist, but I never really go listen to a full album, or
Weird.
I kind of just pick, do little pickies on my music. I decided to go listen to full albums for bands that I like, and one of them really stuck out. I think I've talked about him on the show before, but it was a long time ago. A band called Nightmares for a Week, which is a small alt-rock punk band out of New York. And they have an album from 2018 called Celebrations that is just an amazing rock album. and I've been listening to it a lot, and it's just such a good little album from such an obscure band, and I'm excited to give them a plug on our widely distributed, mega popular show. But yeah, you guys should check them out, listeners, not you guys.
Yeah, their sales are going to go through the roof, and they're going to be like, "What happened?"
Yeah, that's Square Root's bump. Anyways, let's move on to the quest log. If you guys want, we can do other stuff.
No, I'm cool with it. Let's go. Dun 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 dun.
We're starting with
dun,
Wutai
dun,
this episode.
Dun 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 dun.
I'm assuming we didn't talk about Wutai last episode.
You mean you don't remember?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Did we talk about Wutai, or did Vanessa and I cry enough that you guys let us save it for this time?
You cried
We
enough.
cried enough.
Yeah. We did not do Wutai last time. It would be a shame to drop it because it's basically the Turks' time to shine.
Have we talked about the whole backstory with Wutai yet?
Not really.
Yeah, it's
So-
really prevalent in the remake, and I was very what when I saw it in the original game.
Yeah, it's kind of indirectly mentioned in the original, but it's very explicitly referenced multiple times in the remake. But Midgar, or I guess Shinra, fought a war with Wutai some years before the events of the game, and Shinra won. And Wutai lost, and Wutai went from being this kind of independent, I guess, little peninsula nation, I guess island nation, to kind of a tourist trap, is what they say in Wutai.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I guess it is an island nation, but it doesn't feel that way because it's really just one city that happens to be on an island.
Yeah.
It's not like there's farms and shit and villages with fishermen like an island nation has.
I think
just the one
if
city.
the remake ever gets there, you'll see more. Because that's one thing the remake is
for
really
sure.
good at, is expanding out and filling out this stuff. And so I'm sure, it would have villages and an economy, and it'd make a lot more sense.
Yeah. Well, the remake made Midgar look like a whole city and not just a collection of 5 screens.
Yeah, exactly. So when you, I don't know, this happens in random parts of the plot. At some point in your game, your materia will get stolen. I guess it's after you get the submarine, right?
I don't know that it happens until you go to Wutai.
It happens when you go to Wutai. It happens outside of Wutai.
You actually have to do this, I think, before technically where we're at in the game, right?
You have to do it before you fight Prod Claude.
Okay, that's right. So you have to do it before technically the end of this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I did it right before I did the rocket, so I was. You can do it for a long time. But anyway, you get there and there's a weird. It's not a cutscene. What is it? You get in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
There's a random battle, and then afterwards, Yuffie jumps in and steals your.
I think it's against Shinra soldiers, right?
Yeah, it is.
And then you Yuffie decides to run away, and then you realize,
Is it Yuffie or Yuffie?
I don't
or
even
Yiffy?
know.
It's Yuffie.
Yuffie
Yuffie.
realizes that, or you realize that Yuffie grabbed all of our materia before running away, which makes the crawl through this island, because you basically have to go from the south point to the north point through some mountain passes with no healing, no magic. Fortunately, all the enemies drop lots of high potions and X potions, so it's not so bad.
Could you theoretically just go through the game without your materia from this point on?
Yeah. But it would be hard. I don't think there's any fight that demands materia. You might have to use items to kill bosses that are not weak to physical attacks. But that would be a challenge. So you have now, if you want to get your materia back, you have to go all the way north. You have to go along some ropey bridges and stuff to get there. It's a little confusing, especially if you don't have the map set to north on the top. I found it was a little hard to navigate. And you get to Wutai, which looks very old city Beijing, imperial capital.
Mm-hmm.
It's
it's got that kind of old Japanese imperial architectural style.
I think they're sort of more basing it on like Chinese pagodas and stuff, isn't it?
Oh yes, sorry, Chinese imperial is what I meant.
Yeah. And you start exploring the city looking for Yuffie. On the way, you can drop into Turtle Paradise, which is a bar that you might have collected posters for. The reward for that quest is not as good as I thought it would be.
I don't even know what it is. I don't know that I've ever done it.
You get just a bunch of mind sources and guard sources and strength sources and stuff, but you can get that by morphing enemies in the fighter or the cargo plane that crashed, the Galinka.
Is it Galinka? Gelnica?
Sure.
I don't remember.
Gelnica. So you head to one of the main large pagodas, and it turns out to be this house where you can sleep if you want. And there's a man sleeping in one of the bedrooms. His name is Godo. I know you've been waiting for him for a while, but you have to.
I've been waiting for him.
You have to wake him up anyways. And eventually, he's just.
Oh, I get that joke, John.
Yeah.
I got it.
Ooh, it was a thinker.
It's a waiting for Godot reference.
We're talking about Sam Beckett and not the time traveler.
I find Sam Beckett plays difficult to read, with the 4 steps this way and that. I know he was very particular, but come on, dude. Let me use my imagination. Quantum Leap was on TV the other day, and I just watched some of it, even though I've seen it many times already.
I've never seen the cartoon episode.
Neither have I.
Did it actually happen? Or is that just...
No, I think it's a figment of your imagination.
I feel like there's an
we
episode...
call that the Mandela effect.
Well, I think that they kept talking about it, and I can't remember if it actually ever came out. Because it was like in TV Guide talking about how they're going to do Sam leaps into a cartoon for some reason.
That
in
makes
TV
no
Guide.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Vanessa?
Nope.
Oh. Hold on, let me just Google this real fast, and then we'll get back to
I think you're
Rutai.
thinking of the television show Supernatural. They did a episode where they leapt into cartoons.
Sam leaps into a cartoon. No, it... Okay. Wait. Okay, yeah, I'm not crazy. They did talk about it.
Like, hey, this is a thing we could do?
Yes. Yeah. I remember they were talking about doing it in TV Guide, but they never actually did it. Okay, so I'm not crazy. So you get you talk to Godot. Yuffie gets mad because he's just sort of not really wanting to talk to you and doesn't care about your materia. And
do we say who this guy is?
He is, well, I was about to say, Yuffie calls him her father, and she's real mad at him.
It's Yuffie's papa.
Mm-hmm. Yuffie, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And Yuffie says she'll never give the materia back because she hates what a tourist trap this place is, and runs away. You have to chase after Yuffie. Eventually you get to her secret lair, and she's like, all right, you guys win. Here, just pull this lever. I'm gonna be a little on the other side of the room for no reason while you pull this lever. And a cartoon style cage drops on your party except for you. And then she runs away, but you can easily pull the other lever and get it back up.
Do you guys like Yuffie?
I do. I think she's a fun comic relief character. I like Yuffie and Ketchi in this playthrough. What about you?
I like Yuffie too. I like the fact that she's sick the whole time on the airship. I like this Wutai side quest. I like her character side quest where you have to fight your way up the pagoda.
I feel like Yuffie...
I'm a Yuffie fan.
I feel like Yuffie and Vincent and Sid and even Ketchi, though a little bit less so because he's kind of heavily involved at some points, kind of just slot in and don't really, do much outside of your main party.
They give you a little bit more explanation of the world. I like Ketchi and
yeah.
Sid's story. I just don't like Sid, but I think it's a useful piece of color to the world. And Yuffie's like, this has been a empire that was defeated, and she hates it because they aren't fighting anymore, and she feels like if she steals, this is what she explains to you, if she steals all the materia back, she'll be able to make Wutai a superpower, and that's why she is trying to collect and steal as much materia as she can.
I like her.
I like her too.
She might be one of my favorite characters.
What?
I don't like Cloud. He's dumb.
Really? Even after like the explanation of Cloud's like trauma and mental brainwashing and stuff?
Yep.
Brainwashing? When was their brainwashing discussed?
Well, that the Mako like basically made him have no memories, and it was only sort of suppressed stuff because he had to reconstruct it from what Zack said and shame and everything after he meets Tifa again. So eventually you do get your materia back, but there's more to it than that. Because, well, she'll give it back to you once you go after you escape from her clever trap of the cage. Because it did not catch Cloud. But when you follow her to this
I got something to say.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
She tells you to pull the right lever, but I pulled the left lever because I was onto her tricks.
And what happens?
And the same cage drops down, and she goes, "You should have listened to me. Pulled the one I told you to."
Mm-hmm. So the second part of this is you can go to this pagoda where Yuffie has run off to, and when you get there, she is being forcibly confined by a bad guy. And
What kind of bad guy?
he's just some like no-name masked jerk face. But you also see Don Corneo walk in and laugh at her and then say, "We've got two beauties this time."
That old perv?
Is he here for any other reason than because he's horny?
I don't know, because it seems like he kind of betrayed Shinra and they sent the Turks to kill him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Although they were taking this opportunity, if you do go to the Turtle Paradise Inn, the Turks are there, but they are on vacation and don't care that you're there, which is amazing. So that's why they can both kidnap Elena and kidnap Yuffie. And at this point, Rude and Reno come in, and Reno is like, "Hey, let's join forces a little bit. You know, I'm on vacation. I'm not here to fight you right now. So how about we just kind of pool our resources and go take on this idiot together?" And I love it when the bad guys and the good guys team up, especially when they're the kind of bad guys, not like the full-on bad guys like the Turks are. And,
yeah, me too.
And this is amazing.
They're just cynical mercs.
They are. And they don't care when they're not being paid. So you follow them up this back mountain around some really cool... I think this is one of my favorite areas in Final Fantasy VII. All the statues that you're walking around.
Yeah, it's dope. You get to walk on their hands and their heads and everything like that.
And eventually you get to where Scarlet and Yuffie are tied up to the eyeballs of a statue. I don't know
why he tied them up.
Yeah, I don't understand this. He could have just kidnapped him.
He's dramatic. He wants to lure, to show off, I think, to your party. And
It's unnecessary.
And you think that you can get him because you try to attack him, and then he, for some reason, has a pet dragon or something that you fight.
Yeah, well, it's an RPG.
As one does. I don't know. Sometimes you get into a fight with just Palmer, and then he gets hit by a truck, and I was kind of hoping for a scenario like that. But in this case, you get into a fight with his pet dragon, and then he's like, "Oh, well, you think you've won, huh?" And then he gives you a list of options of why he would be in this situation. And one is that he's lost. 2 is that he doesn't know what he's doing. And 3, he's already won. And if you choose any of them, he's like, well, no, I've already won. And then he like has this remote control that flips Elena and Yuffie upside down and is like, well, if you come any closer, I'm going to release them and they will fall to their deaths because I want to take the hot one. And according to him, the hot one is the 15-year-old. So he he deserves what's coming to him. At this point, Reno and Rude dive in and shoot the remote control out of his hand. Then he stumbles back, almost falls off the cliff, but is hanging on by his hand. And then Reno turns around his guessing game and is like, what do you think the reason is that we're letting you live? And whatever answer that Don Corneo makes, he says, no, the reason is we're good at our jobs and we're about to kill you. And then he stomps on Don Corneo's hand and he falls to his death.
Oh, R.I.P., buddy. He just wanted to have a good time.
And then Yuffie and Elena are safe. It doesn't show how they got down. It looks like they're kind of in a precarious situation. And the Turks are like, well, look, next time we see you, we'll be enemies again, but thanks a lot for your help. Later. And they're so cool as they just drive away. And I assume they're motorcycles or a helicopter or something. What do you think?
Whatever it is, they're just rad AF.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a convertible?
Yeah, it's a convertible for sure.
It's the same kind in Final Fantasy 15.
It's a flying convertible.
Ooh.
And Elena definitely turns around and flips the bird as she is taken away.
as you should.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that is the end of the Wutai side quest. Although you can, at the submarine base, get a Leviathan scale that unlocks some extra stuff for Yuffie here in Wutai. I don't know why it was there.
Yeah, you can go back and I think you get her. Do you get her level 4 limit break if you go back?
I feel like you get it here.
Maybe you do. You can go back and do like a side quest where maybe that's where you get the Leviathan summon. But you can go back and fight your way up her pagoda, and she makes good with her daddy.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. There's not much to it, but I really like this side quest.
Yeah, me too.
So she is like wanting to be leader, but no one thinks she's good enough. So you have to fight as Yuffie one-on-one through.
Also, she's a 15-year-old girl.
One-on-one through all. Yeah, but so is not Arya. No one minds that. In terms
so was Padme.
Was she 15 in the first one?
I think something like that.
Okay.
Now, are you going out of your way to prove my point, or what's the deal?
We're just proving that 15-year-old girls can still be capable.
I remembered another
and you
movie
use
I
Padme
watched.
as an example?
Yeah.
I watched a movie called Onward. It was good.
Ooh, I watched that too.
I saw
Did you
that.
like
it was
it?
kind of like an hour and 15 minutes boring, and then like super touching at the end. Like all kind of Pixar movies are these days.
I felt the same way about it, but when it's touching, it's super touching.
Oh yeah, no, like I was watching with my son, and I was definitely like wiping the tears out of my eyes.
Yeah,
He's
it punched me
eyeballing
right in the heart bone.
It's about
I
fathers,
decided
but it's
instead.
also about brothers.
I decided instead to just watch Homeward, starring Joey Lawrence and Tom Green.
Wait, did you say Joey Lawrence and Tom Noonan?
Tom Green.
Oh, I thought you said Tom Noonan.
Nope.
Tom Green's
Now-
even worse.
Did you also watch Homeward Bound, the greatest movie of our generation? Sorry, our generation. not
Homeward-
your generation,
I
old man.
definitely have watched Homeward Bound in the last like 3 or 4 months. Definitely.
Oh, the only
I
movie
know.
better than Homeward Bound is Milo and Otis.
Oh.
Milo and Otis is too sad.
Homeward is one of those clone cash-in movies that releases at the same time, targeted at old people who buy the wrong one.
Wait, is this like a Canadian movie?
No, it's like Transmorphers. I think they came out of Burbank.
Oh wow. I guess Tom Green has kind of like embraced just being American now.
Yeah. And
What?
the main character looks like Wreck-It Ralph, like exactly like Wreck-It Ralph, except without.
Oh wait, is this an animated?
It's an
movie?
animated movie that is a
Oh.
clone of Onward.
How do you guys feel about Tom Green?
Almost
is
nothing
the
with a
Tom
tiny bit
Green
of
show.
disgust.
It is my favorite show. It is
I
my
liked
favorite
him
show.
When I
The
was
Tom Green show.
18, which I think is pretty common.
Yeah, I have a little bit of goodwill towards Tom Green because he just tries so hard.
Yeah.
Like he's still trying. Keep trying, Tom Green.
You know what he didn't try at? His marriage to Drew Barrymore.
Well, that was like a PR
Boom!
stunt.
Sick burn.
That was dev a PR stunt.
So, yeah. So you climb up the pagoda one by one, defeating all these different masters. Like, they all have a different discipline. And then eventually they're like, we'll combine to form the ultimate master or something. And it's your dad. That's the one you have to beat. And if you do that, then you get her level 4 limit break. This was fun. I enjoyed this. It wasn't hard. It was just a nice little bit of gameplay. I think it might be my favorite side quest for one of your playable characters. What do you think? Did you all do this?
Nope.
I did.
I did it.
All
It was
right.
fine. I used the power of Andraste, so there was no thrill or challenge.
I just was way over leveled.
Yeah, so was I by the time I got here.
Yeah, it's not a hard series of fights, but it's pretty fun. So, back to the main game. So, after you have got the big, huge, large materia from the rocket, you decide that you want to see what Bugenhagen thinks, and take it over to Cosmo Canyon. And Cloud's like, hey, I don't want to just carry these around. They're pretty awkward and huge and large and don't really fit in my pockets very well. And you give him to Bugenhagen. He's like, oh, well, let's go look at him in my planetarium. And
Cloud's like, okay, nerd. Jeez.
he turns on his machine, and you get to watch him fly around. You can go interact with each one, and one of them will give you Bahamut Neo.
I
Or
like
Zero.
how these materia are bigger than the planets.
I guess I don't understand what size the big, large, huge materia is, because sometimes they look like maybe a foot long, and sometimes they're looking like a couple of yards long.
Yeah.
And then he starts going on about how the planet is in crisis. We already knew that. And he's like, we should go check out the City of the Ancients because they're the ones who know how to deal with this stuff. And this time, I'm going to come with you. So, new party member, Bugenhagen.
Not really.
No, I wanted to see his limit breaks.
What do you think his limit break would be?
All the planets would like smash into someone.
That would be great if you could summon
It
planets.
would be like
I think-
planetarium power.
I think one of them would be that, like he would turn all the animals around him into robots, and then Sonic would come and fight your enemies. Or
Ooh. Or how about he like disintegrates people into those little life stream particles?
Ooh, that would be cool.
And then you could turn them into materia. So he decides to join you, and you're going to go to the City of the Ancients. But before you do, you need a key. And you can figure this out by going and reading a guide, or you could go there and it'll tell you to go find a key. I read a guide, so I don't know what it tells you if you don't have it.
I already had it just because I had been tooling around in my spoilers little submarine.
We got the
Is that a
submarine
spoiler at
last
this point?
episode.
Yeah.
Well, it's spoilers for where the key is.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
under the water.
I remember when I was a young lad, I spent so many hours looking for this key.
Aww.
Hours and hours. This is like before I had access to the internet. Hours and hours.
How did you finally
and
find it?
hours. Was just doing the same thing Vanessa did, tooling around under the sea, and you find a little a little hole that you go and you find this key that's bigger than your submarine.
Mm-hmm.
And you grab it, and that's how you can unlock the City of the Ancients.
I really like the submarine music. The underwater music is...
It's super calming.
Yeah, it's nice. Especially with all the lack of music when you're up on the world map now, because everything's dark and evil.
Yeah, you get the dawn, the super ominous.
Mm-hmm. So, you go to the City of the Ancients, and you get to where Bugenhagen's going, and he's up on this dais, and he finds a big note.
On the dais, 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 Bugenhagen on the dais, Bugenhagen on the dais, on the dais, on the dais.
I don't quite agree with the scientists' methodology here, because they scratched a note onto this ancient writing that said, "Go look at the music box." So you can go to the music box and there insert this weird... It's like the key looks like a nasty, spiky thing.
It does.
And you put that in and it starts playing flash or reruns of Eris getting killed and her pearl dropping. And this is the holy materia that you need, and it's on the bottom of the ocean. And okay, so I watched this a couple of times. I don't understand the point they come to, where they're like,
Yeah.
well, it's on the bottom of the ocean. And Bugenhagen's like, yep, it sure is.
Well, what they say is that her materia, which is holy, fell into the life stream, and it would activate, but Sephiroth is basically clogging the life stream up. So they need to get rid of the blockage in the life stream in order to let holy activate.
So Sephiroth is like a clump of hair in the life stream. And you really need to we are the plungers that will get this hair clump out.
Yeah, we're the drain snakes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be... Avalanche is a terrible name. Drain snakes.
Yeah. We're going to flush out this Sephiroth.
We're going to stuff that hole... No, that's not what a drain snake does.
Unstuff that hole.
We're
Unstuff
going
it.
to unstuff that hole.
It goes in and then it goes out again.
Yeah, like a snake. That's just what
What?
snakes do.
I guess like a snake.
So at this point, you get a phone call Rufus gets a phone call from his mysterious operator.
Jupus Tanuki? I don't think
Or
he's
not
in this game,
Jufus,
John.
sorry. Man, it's such a better name than Ketchi. Ketchi gets a phone call from his mysterious operator. And the operator's like, hey, Rufus, Heidegger, and Scarlet are real on this plan. They're super excited about it. They're going to wreck the weapon. They've moved the Junon cannon over to Midgar, and they're going to fire Mako shells, which Scarlet is bragging about because she designed them.
I don't know how I didn't realize the minute I saw Midgar that they were going to stick a cannon on top of that thing eventually. It just makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you watched an anime?
Yes.
Not really.
So I think we really short-sold Scarlet, saying that she was just like a PR rep, because she personally designed these Mako shells. She designed the system to harness this Mako power to power the guns. This was all her doing. It's her idea.
All I know, and listen, I didn't really realize this when I played this game. It really came to me almost in a flash of inspiration when I was playing the remake. This girl is fucking hot.
She's smart.
In the remake, she is the bustiest lady.
They gave her Tifa. They gave her the chest that people wanted them to give Tifa. She stole all of Tifa's boob jiggle.
Yeah.
I've heard they also gave boob jiggle to Don Corneo as well.
They gave him belly jiggle.
Just
Ooh,
like
that's
in
fun.
Street
I haven't
Fighter.
seen that yet.
Yeah, his belly. I was talking to, maybe I don't remember who I was talking to, but they basically made the way. Oh, I was talking to Stan about it in our chat the other day, and I was like, Don Corneo's belly in the remake is Tifa's boobs in the original.
That's great. So now that they have this plan to destroy the weapon with this cannon, the Junon cannon, Reeve is like, hey, we can't just reroute power like that. We need power. And they all sort of poo-poo his ideas. And they're like, no, just get the Mako fired up and ready. And Scarlet's like, by the way, this is no longer the Junon cannon. This is the Sister Ray.
Whoa!
Why did they call it this?
Because they're a big fan of Sister Ray's hits, like Fly,
Oh, boy.
like Someday, like Every Morning.
Can you sing a little bit of Every Morning? Because I don't remember how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Let me just.
It goes someday, bump, 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 bump.
That's
Something about wonder why.
that's a different
Something,
song.
something, I eat pie.
Every morning there's a Junon cannon on the corner of Midgar's 8-plant design. Once
Ooh.
again, as predicted, you left your Shinra HQ open and it shot it out. Oh wait, this is spoiling what's gonna happen because
Oh.
Rufus is out there bleeding. I should have been there reaving. Hojo's around again. That's all I wrote.
If you guys didn't, if listeners aren't sure, John just ad-libbed that whole thing.
Yep, I just came up with that on the spot, and then
By the way, guys, what's your favorite Sugar Ray song?
None of them.
I'd say Every Morning, although I like Someday a lot. I think that's a good album. I think they're from the same album.
I think Every Morning was a little overplayed when I was young. I'm going to say Answer the Phone is my favorite.
Ooh, what about you, Vanessa? As a Sister Ray owning CD woman.
I knew that admission would come back to bite me. I can't really remember what I liked to listen to on it, but I do know that and like Fastballs the Way is just like smushed together in my head because I was listening to both of the
definitely.
CDs so much at the same time.
You could have maybe liked Fly or Into Yesterday or When It's Over, Every Morning, Someday.
It's over. Will it still be over? I think I did like When It's Over.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked Savage Garden, Chicka Jericola. That was a great CD.
I do
Or
remember.
Save Tonight. Remember Eagle Eye Cherry? Save Tonight.
Tonight. Like the break of dawn, they're gone. Oh man, I'm looking at this picture of Sugar Ray. There's so much frosted tips.
Guys, I had Frosted Tips when like Sugar Ray was popular. I definitely frosted the tips.
I did too. I had frosted tips for in the late
Wow,
90s.
I just lost so much respect for both of you.
It was the late 90s. It was time for clacks.
Matt.
Guys,
Frosted
ska is about to have its fourth wave. I'm just waiting to book my appointment to frost my tips.
Yeah. Can we think about the pictures we've seen of Matt as a teenager and
oh my
consider
gosh, Matt's
whether or
hair.
not he gets to judge
I definitely
frosted tips?
bleached my hair out and like would color it with highlighters and stuff for funsies. But that's still not frosted tips, gang. Let's not equate dyeing
Well,
or bleaching one's
What I
hair
did,
with
here's what I did.
frosted tips.
I bleached
a
my
crime
hair.
against nature on par with jorts.
I bleached my hair and then let it grow out, to which the point it became frosted tips. I didn't
That's not how
actually.
you're supposed to
All
frost
right,
your tips,
all
John.
right.
Well, that's how I did it.
That's not frosted tips. That's just a bad haircut.
I remember
Close your eyes
very
and
clearly
reach for me.
frosting my tips for my 8th grade graduation.
Nice. So anyway, I was delighted when Scarlet decided the name of this cannon was Sister Ray. I laughed very hard.
I've always wondered this, and I don't know that the game ever says it explicitly, but what is Scarlet's job?
We discussed this last episode, and that's where we sort of settled
we?
on like Shinra PR, but then we undersold her like design and engineering background too. Like she
PR makes sense if you think about what she does in the remake. And this might be I don't think it's spoilers, but she shows up in the remake as like a PR, like a Shinra PR rep after one of the bombings. And she does such a terrible job. She goes up to a news anchor, takes their like microphone and yells at them, and then kicks over the cameraman and stands over the cameraman and tells him about how awesome Shinra is. And I was like, that's not what a PR person does.
Well, this is because she came through the ranks as an engineer. She's obviously a talented engineer, but then they're like, oh, you're attractive. We're going to make you wear evening wear to work and then make you be on TV. She was never prepared to be on TV. She is a scientist and an engineer.
Guess she's like a Trump era press secretary where she's so hostile to the press.
She's Kellyanne Conway of Shinra.
She is. She's assaulting the camera people.
Meanwhile, back on the ship, the informant forwards you all this information of this meeting through Ketchi, and this is when the informant and Barrett start getting into arguments because he's like, well, you're just a Shinra guy and you don't care about civilian casualties, and what about Marlene? And then the informant's like, oh, Marlene's actually safe with Eris's mother, so don't worry about that. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, that's cool. Still, he's like, well, about all the people you killed when you blew up reactors, huh? And he's like, well, sometimes you got to break a few eggs. And Tifa's like, look, who's here to argue about how many people we may or may not have killed when we exploded those reactors? That's not important right now. We all know, yes, we murdered thousands of innocent civilians. Anyway, we decide that we need to intercept the weapon before it hits Midgar because it's too dangerous for them to try and use the Junon cannon. They aren't sure what's going to happen with the reactors.
And this thing, it has to walk halfway around the world before you fight it.
This is great. If you tried playing this at original speed, I remember this from my first playthrough. This is one of the few vivid memories of late game Final Fantasy VII I have, is like waiting 5 minutes for it to walk to Midgar. Because
and it just poops you out onto the world map, and they're like, it's coming, and you're like, where is it?
If you try to crash the ship into it, you just get yelled at by Sid. Did any of you do that?
I did it multiple times. He's like, whoa, what are you trying to do? Break the ship?
Because you do have to do that for a later weapon, which does make sense. The flying one.
Yeah, that one you have to run into.
Mm-hmm. So you eventually get into a fight on the beach with this weapon, and I think I accidentally killed it so fast I didn't steal the weapon from it. It carries a weapon for Yuffie, and I totally
does it. Really?
So I had to redo this fight twice because
Wow.
Yeah.
What weapon is it?
It's not her ultimate weapon, but actually it wasn't very good. So in the end, I didn't really care that much.
None of Yuffie's weapons are actually that good.
I think it was the Rising Sun, which might have a double. I think it might have a double AP growth.
Double growth?
Yeah.
You really got to keep an eye out for those double and triple growth weapons.
I'm using them now so that I could get 4. I just got 4 times cut, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you get this. You get into this fight with the weapon. How do you all feel about this fight?
I thought it was fun. It's like, I always like it when you have little tiny characters that are fighting a giant enemy.
But you end up just attacking its like ankles. And still I killed it in
I know.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. It didn't really stand out as like one of the best fights of the game or anything.
I think what's better than the fight is the cutscene after.
Yes, absolutely.
When you kill it, you get this amazing cutscene of it opening up its like shoulder cannons to fire on Junon. They fire the sister ray at this thing and blow this fucking thing's head off, and it's amazing.
It's
so good. This bullet just smokes this thing.
Unfortunately,
it.
there are some unexpected side effects to using the sister ray.
What are they?
Everything blow up.
Yeah, well, everything like the whole Shinra HQ, all the windows shatter, and the whole city goes without power. I think.
Mm-hmm. It essentially uses up all the Mako, I guess.
So, where are you at now?
We're talking about how the cannon blew the head off of the weapon.
It didn't. It shot it in the chesty chest.
Wait, what? Wait, did it blow its head off early? It blew its head off last.
Yeah, that was
episode.
Was that a different weapon or is that the same weapon?
That was. I don't. Did we talk about that?
We talked about it.
Sure we did.
Yeah.
A weapon attacked Junin and they shot its whole head off.
Maybe I don't think we really. I think we kind of were more concentrating on the slap fight going on because that's way more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we may
I
have
think we
glossed
missed
over
that
the
whole thing, 'cause
giant
that's
gun.
like the best. In my opinion, the best
These
cutscene.
cutscenes are awesome. They are
awesome.
really not like I mean, okay, they're 90s cheese, but they're really well made 90s cheese. Like I dug like and this is the only part in the game with voice acting when they're charging up the Junon or the Sister Ray. There's voice acting.
Is there?
Yeah. It's like transferring Mako. There's random mumbling, not very good voice acting going on during that cutscene.
That's like soundtrack. That's not voice acting.
There are English words
I
being
guess
spoken.
technically it is. I guess you're right. But still, I would say it's okay. You know what? We don't need to argue about this.
No, we sure don't.
I would say that it's a game with no voice acting and that there's a little bit of dialogue on the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's like what would you call ambient dialogue? A tiny little bit in one cutscene.
You know, like in Final
Wait,
Fantasy
what
X.
dialogue?
An annoying sound. An annoying sound.
Exactly.
An annoying sound. An annoying sound.
There's a tiny little bit of dialogue when they're charging up the Sister Ray. If you watch the cutscene, there are voices in the background.
Are there really?
Yeah, go watch
I
it.
never
Go
noticed.
watch it. Do it
What?
right
Go
now.
watch it right now in the middle of recording.
Yep.
No, wait, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Sister Ray.
Knock it off, Jim.
So
All right, so
you get back, you go back, so meanwhile as it gets this whole shot through its chest, the weapon shoots all its missiles at Midgar, unfortunately destroying Shinra HQ. Bye, Rufus, we loved you.
Actually, we will learn. Maybe he's not dead.
What? You see him
When
explode.
we watch Advent Children.
You see him explode.
he might survive the explosion.
You see him engulfed in an explosion.
Yeah.
Seen that movie several times, and I don't know what happens in it.
Okay,
all.
he's spoiler alert. We can cut this out.
No spoiler.
He's definitely
No, spoiler alert.
I'll
Every
just watch
time
the Sister
Jim
Ray
says
cutscene,
that
I
he's not
guess.
going to spoil something, he goes on to describe everything that happens
Oh.
in that thing.
I gotta admit, I'm super excited for watching Advent Children tonight. I'm gonna watch it tonight, I think.
You're gonna watch it
Oh,
tonight.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe not tonight for me, but maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen the first half hour. Oh, I wonder if we could all watch it together at the same time. I don't.
That's what I proposed that we do that a while ago.
I know that you can watch it for free on the honestly really shitty internet streaming app Crackle.
Oh, Crackle's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got it
I've
for
got, like,
free,
a-
and I don't want to fucking pay for it. So
I've got a premium subscription to them because they're part of the anime one.
Crunchyroll?
Yeah, they're part of. Aren't Crackle and Crunchyroll the same? I think you get both if you subscribe to
Is that
Crunchyroll.
true?
I think
No,
so.
I don't think so. I think they bundled a few of those. Don't you get like VRV or something with that?
Maybe. I don't get the McElroy show, and I'm real bummed about that.
It used to be part of that. What network was that?
I thought that
had
was on
McElroy's?
Spring something, right?
It was on that weird network they made for comedy.
VRV.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's the same
Yeah.
owners, I want to say, as Crackle.
No, VRV bought the stuff from whoever made McElroy's. McElroy's was like
Oh, it was a different one.
NBC or somebody's streaming service.
Yeah, but it's
Some
called
streaming
like
service.
Blorp Blooper, some really
Yeah,
dumb name.
Wasn't it
something
Yahoo?
Like funny. No, it was like Funny Stream. And Comedy
Wasn't it
Bang
Yahoo?
Bang was involved somehow.
No, Comedy Bang Bang was on
Oh,
cable.
yeah, that was on IFC or whatever.
But
It
that-
was called, and it totally failed. It was called Giggle.
No.
No.
that's
That
not it
sounds
at
like
all.
trash.
That's not
But
at
it had
all.
a bet. You're right. It did have a terrible name, and I did subscribe to it. I had to use like the U.S. internet at work to watch it, but
I think it's called Chortle.
Nope.
Nope.
Chuckle.
Anyway, so back we had
Could have been Chuckle.
so
Ew.
CISO. It was NBC's
CISO, that's it.
CISO.
That was
Yeah,
CISO.
yeah.
Gross.
So,
It had Harmon Quest as well, which I watched and was okay.
oh, that has the guy who played Annie's brother in it, who I find very attractive, and I don't know why. You know the guy I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do. The one episode, the half an episode that he's in.
He was, I don't know. I like weirdos like that, I think. Anyway, so,
Harmon Quest was okay. It was fine.
yeah.
I think it's still, never mind. Go.
So,
yes, John.
as far as
So,
this game
buttons
is
on your underwear.
concerned, Rufus exploded. R.I.P. Rufus, we love you. Sorry about that. You're dead. How do you all feel about the loss of Rufus? I want to get your immediate visceral reactions. Matthew.
Who?
Rufus.
Who?
He was like Prince Lacroix, except Shinra.
That didn't help.
Vanessa.
Yeah, I was really sad to see him go. I always thought that he had a heart of gold, gold enough to match all the fat stacks of gold in his bank account, and I hoped that we could make it work, but I guess not. So I'm sorry, Rufus. I did love you.
Jim, and if you spoil this, I
I
swear
won't.
to
I won't.
God.
I wished he would have been more of a villain because he was set up to be so much more smart and cunning and new school than his father. But you see him twice in the game. Once here and once in Rocket Town, I think.
I feel like this is kind of the same thing as the Emperor in Final Fantasy VI, where they really set him up as being the big villain,
Yeah.
but no, he's really not. He gets out of the way before the end of the game.
I think they could have done and they kind of do it, I guess, but do a really cool Turks teaming up with the bad guy to get the bigger bad guy kind of a thing. But no, they just kill him right here.
So he's dead. Meanwhile, back on the ship, you have to go check out what happened to, because they notice hey, the beam wasn't just kind of incidentally went through the weapon. It was really aimed at Sephiroth's glowing Superman fortress thing that he's got in the North Pole. It took out the shield he had protecting the crater, which I never even noticed. I probably should have.
Oh, you didn't notice that?
No, we didn't talk about it last time. Sephiroth now has a big glowing shield around his crater, except now it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like that part of, never mind.
So if you try, so here's maybe one of my favorite cutscenes in the game. You cut to Ketchi's telling you about what's going on with Heidegger and Cloud, or Heidegger and Scarlet, except then it cuts to him. Basically, you see Reeve trying to talk to you through Ketchi as Heidegger and Scarlet talk to him, and he's trying to talk to both people at the same time and is getting really confused.
Yeah.
At this point, Barrett realizes that Reeve is the guy controlling Ketchi, which we've known about. Really, you could have figured that out a long time ago.
Reeve, the dreamiest Shinra employee.
This really makes me laugh because he created this animatronic robot that's capable of fighting
And independent thought
But
in the first generation.
Yeah, and instead of making it a big super robot, he makes it a cat with a megaphone that throws dice.
And it's riding a large Moogle for some reason.
Riding a big Moogle that can also tell fortunes. It doesn't make any sense.
It sure does
Sounds
not.
to me like he's a genius.
And we haven't even
Maybe.
discussed all the weird limit breaks. So Ketchi has 2 limit breaks. His second limit break has 8 different variations. I got Toy Soldier the other day.
Yeah, it has Toy Soldier where it summons a whole bunch of toy soldiers. It has a
I've never
fat
seen that.
chocobo where Ketchi turns into a fat chocobo and sits on the enemy.
It's amazing.
Dude, I've never seen those.
It has a house where it just like a house appears and something happens, right?
I don't remember that. I don't think I've seen that one this playthrough. It's got some really super bonkers limit breaks for Ketchi, because he only has 2 official limit breaks, but the second set is really fun. So I recommend at least trying them out just to see what they're like, because there's a variety of them. I will have maybe with this episode.
Did not even know these existed.
With this, I'll link to like a video of all of Ketchi's limit breaks, because they're pretty fun. So, basically, Barrett and Reeve talk about how they're concerned with saving the civilians of Midgar. Barrett's like, hey, you know what? I realized we shouldn't have put all these people in danger. We were wrong for blowing up these reactors. I just wanted to do good, but what I realized now is, while I want to save the planet, what I really want to save is Marlene and make a good future for her, so we have to work together.
Yeah, and Reeve's like, I love you guys. You're my family.
Mm-hmm. And so everyone's forgiven for killing hundreds or thousands of innocent people.
Yeah, the corporation finally embraces the terrorists.
As they should.
I mean, it's just as unlikely that the terrorists have a change of heart where they're like, murdering lots of people is bad.
Yep. So they're like, okay, we have to get you to oh yeah, so meanwhile back in this Reeves cutscene, someone is activating the cannon again. Someone is charging it up, and then you realize it's Hojo. He's there. He starts babbling about how he's doing this all for you in a kind of Omen-like scene where he's like channeling all this power to the Northern Crater because Hojo is insane and wants to power up Sephiroth.
He's still calling you a failed experiment, which we now know isn't true. So I don't understand what we're supposed to gain from that. Like, he's just that committed to the lie? Like, what's going on?
Well, that's just his way of negging Cloud when they meet face to face again.
Oh, I guess.
So unfortunately, Reeve is arrested by Heidegger and Scarlet after Reeve asks them to let Cloud help, because he's like, no, they're just trying to help. They're trying to save the planet. And they're like, nah, we're going to kill Cloud. And also you're arrested. So poor Reeve gets arrested.
Has the game revealed yet that Reeve is Ketchi?
It just did, yeah. Yeah, Barrett just figured it out. Oh, and also
that's weird.
We forgot to talk about one thing. The Holy. So the Holy is the way of ridding the planet of its enemies, but Buchenhagen's like, oh, by the way, humans are probably enemies, so if we let this happen, the planet will probably kill all humans. Or it might, who knows? Which
does that make sense though? So they're saying that the planet is intelligent enough to be like, this particular type of monkey that walks around on top of me is not good, and I have to eliminate this one species.
Well, Matt, you've seen the ending, and the ending kind of plays into this. We don't know what happens at the end part. Does Holy kill everyone or not? Because that's sort of
was that what they were going for? Oh shit!
We'll talk about that.
I guess because
next
I've
episode.
seen Advent Children, I know that they survive. I didn't realize. Wow.
That's why I think Advent Children
What?
sucks so hard, because it kind of gets rid of the ambiguous ending of Final Fantasy VII. But we'll talk about that next time on Square Roots.
You just blew my mind goggles.
Yeah, Jim, while you were gone, I was telling Matt about how Buchenhagen says, oh, by the way, Holy might just kill not just Genova, but also humanity.
Oh, right. I remember that. I didn't ever consider that a possibility, I guess, until I heard you guys talk about it just now.
Really? Because he's like, hey, all humans might die if the planet decides we are enemies of the planet.
I don't understand, though. So
and
Holy would kill Meteor and humans?
Yeah.
It might just eliminate all threats to the planet.
Yeah, it's like
maybe that's what geostigma is.
What?
We'll talk about that when we do our bonus episode.
Yeah.
But so this is setting up next. We'll talk about it next time. The weird ending of Final Fantasy VII that it might just kill all of humanity. I think that's an important point we should definitely acknowledge. That holy might kill everybody, which is an interesting way to go. But everyone's like, okay, we'll take that risk. We still have to try. So Barrett feels bad about being a naughty person that killed thousands of people. And everyone is like, okay, now we have to stop Hojo from charging up that reactor, or else it will kill everyone and blow up in a bigger reaction than the Sector 1 explosion that we had when we blew up the reactor. And we got to get into Midgar to stop it. But how do you get in? The shields are up, the doors are locked, and Sid's like, hey, this is an airship. We can come in from the sky.
Whoa.
Parachute.
Which is maybe one of the best cutscenes in the game.
It is.
It's so radical. Everyone's like, we got parachutes. We are jumping in. There's a beautiful cutscene. It's my favorite one, which mixes the polygon models with the cutscene as they dive into the city.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great cutscene.
Beautiful. John says that this cutscene is beautiful. He also, in the chat that we have, has been complaining about poor frames or something in Final Fantasy VII Remake, the best looking game I've ever seen in my entire life. John.
Yes, sir.
Explain yourself.
Well, they're two different things. I think I've said plenty of times the remake is beautiful. I think it looks really good.
John, I'm trying to put words in your mouth.
Okay. But I like this cutscene a lot. So you parachute into Midgar. Then you go through a dungeon. This is the most Final Fantasy VII Remake style dungeon where it's just boring hallways and...
It is a hallway.
Yeah. Which, we'll talk about that when we review the game. So you're going through mazes of pipes and tubes. You go through the sewers, and then you have an optional Turk fight. Do you?
What are you talking about?
If you did the Wutai side quest, you can say, hey, we don't want to fight you, and you don't fight them.
Yep, that's what I did. I was like, hey, let's not fight. And they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you can just be friends with them.
I don't remember this.
You get...
But I guess I don't remember fighting them, so maybe I did do it.
Yeah, there's a dialogue choice of, well, we can fight, or well, let's just go. Because they don't really care. They kind of respect you and want you to help the planet. Or you can be like, well, let's just fight. I just fought because I wanted to steal some stuff from them, because they have some good items.
I felt like they deserved to die, and I executed them.
I think Reno and Rude are two of my favorite characters from the Final Fantasy VII compilation.
I mean, it's cool that you can humanize the Nazis, but they're still Nazis, and they still need to be
Whoa.
killed.
Well, they're
a plague on the earth.
I will say they're two of the best written characters.
Two of the best written Nazis? Was that what you were about to
Dude.
say?
Yeah.
Good one, John.
Not once have they tried to do a Nazi thing. They're just mercenaries.
Yeah, you're right. They're just following orders.
So
Anyway,
They're like the CIA of the Shinra.
Now the CIA
Well-
are Nazis. Jim Banks, CIA are Nazis.
I didn't say the CIA are Nazis.
The Turks are like Blackwater.
Well, I guess they're corporate. Yeah, I could see that.
They're mercenaries. They are not members of the army.
but Shinra isn't just corporate. Shinra is the government.
Well, they're like the shadow government though, because there is a mayor of Midgar.
Yeah, and he just
but
makes
he
dumb
doesn't
puzzles.
control anything.
He makes terrible puzzles.
Mayor Domino.
Yeah, he sucks.
There's a mayor of Midgar?
Yeah,
Yeah, Mayor Domino. He's in the Shinra HQ in the beginning.
and he has some puzzles for you to solve.
Huh.
So
Okay.
you can get that elemental materia.
Then I think John was the rightest. They're like Blackwater.
Yeah.
Why can't? Yeah. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. Anyway, so you go either fight or don't fight them, and then you can actually, if you want to, go to Shinra HQ to get some items that you couldn't get before, like a new weapon for Barrett, I think, and a new weapon for
And get the W item materia, which lets you
ooh.
maybe replicate items? I'm not 100%.
No, let's you use more than one item in a turn.
The fact that I was kind of using at the end of this game to help myself through it had a whole thing on how to replicate items, but I couldn't follow it.
There's Red 13's weapon you can get in the stairwell that I walked past the first time and had to do it again. Did any of you go get that?
I didn't because I knew I wasn't going to use him at the end. So I was
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't really give a shit what you got.
And there's a good weapon for Tifa there as well, and you can get some more guard sources and stuff. It's
You can get just an absolute fuckload of... Why did I feel like fuckload was a better
I know, you
word
were
than
stopping
shitload?
yourself from saying shit.
Words matter.
You can get a whole ton of guard sources, mind sources, all these spirit sources, strengths. There's just a load here. I feel like Cloud basically like gained 3 levels just in sources alone.
in sources?
Well, because I've said this, I always say this on the show every time we play one of these games, so I'll say it again. I always just dump all of these into the main protagonist character of these games because they're generally going to have the most powerful attacks, and you might as well make those so powerful that they can one-hit things and you can just get through everything quickly.
I used all my sources on
Sources.
on Tifa and Yuffie because I love Tifa and Yuffie and Ketchi because they're my favorites. Who did you use your sources on, Vanessa?
I like to hit things with my blitz ball.
Yes.
Hang on.
Exactly.
It's the wrong game.
One of them has a megaphone that you can find a super special megaphone in the Shinra
Ooh.
HQ. So Scarlet and Heidegger are in this mech after you get out of Shinra HQ and go to progress the story. You
What's
see
the
this
mech called?
this mech is called
Prod Claude.
Proud Claude.
What happened to it? Oh, there it is. Prod Claude.
Sorry, Proud Claude. I don't know why I put Prod Claude. Did someone erase that U? It should be
Prod Claude.
Proud Claude.
Prod Claude.
Proud Claude, the best name for any mech ever. Can you think of a better name mech than Prod Claude?
No, Prod Claude is the perfect name for a mech.
Vanessa?
What if it was called like sort of a rod, but more of a like a Parod Claude.
Parod Claude.
Parod
Okay.
Claude.
I'm trying to remember the
Jim's
name.
gone, but he said that he thought that it said Proud Cloud, which I thought was pretty funny because it pretty clearly says Prod Claude.
Prod Claude. It's Proud Claude. So you fight Proud Claude and you defeat. I guess. Do you think when you defeat Proud Claude, you kill Heidegger and Scarlet because they don't show up again? But this game or this series seems to bring back villains no matter if they were dead or not. But to me, it seems like they're dead once you.
I bet that question is confirmed in the Advent Children movie that none of us really remember.
I only
Except for
saw the
Jim.
first half hour, and as soon as we got to the Eris Church scene, I dived out because that
I've
was
watched it like 3 or 4
bad.
times, but because I like the fight scenes.
Oh,
I mostly pay attention to my phone while plot happens.
I don't like those fight scenes, and I think that might be why I have my opinions that I do about the remake because I find those
I think
fight
it's because
scenes.
you're bad at it and having a tough time.
Yeah. Anyway, so you destroy Prod Claude, and here you get to climb up the scaffolding to get to the underside of the gun, I guess, where Hojo is. There's a super gun for Barrett if he's in your party along the way. That if you don't use Barrett, don't worry about it. And you get to Hojo. And finally, Hojo gets to once again call Cloud a failure. I brought Vincent with me because I figured Vincent probably wants to get some revenge on Hojo.
Me too, but that's just because I figured that Vincent and Sid, I got their final limits for and leveled up. So those are the ones that those are my boys. You're my boy, Blue.
Actually, that was
Vincent.
that was my exact party too. Was Vincent and Sid.
Oh.
One thing I did like is
That high wind final limit is fucking baller.
It's real
Like
good.
a bunch of missiles just come out of the sky and blow the shit up out of,
I really
Vincent's
like
actually does kind of suck.
I like Satellite Beam, the one that Barrett has, where it's sort of the same thing.
They do
Screen
a
turns
lot
red.
of like summoning things from the space.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So they
So what you're saying is they are slowly, the materia isn't what lets them use magic. It's just kind of the focus, and they can actually use the magic on their own. And the summons aren't like monsters trapped like Pokemon. They're like magic that they create from the ether, and that they're also able to do that outside of using materia when they use their summons by just magicking up missiles.
Is this Matt's headcanon corner?
Yeah. Welcome to Matt's Head Shop Corner. Today we're going to talk about the metaphysics of the Final Fantasy VII universe.
So are you saying like they're kind of like
they're all wizards, Harry.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
They do cast spells.
Yeah, but they use the materia. But maybe the materia is more like a wand and less like a Pokemon or an element, Pokemon version of an element.
The movie?
No, like the materia have these things trapped inside of them, right? Like
no,
lightning materia lets you cast lightning because it's got lightning in it, and Ifrit materia lets you use Ifrit because it's got Ifrit in it.
Do you think it like reaches that,
like a Pokemon?
You know how like a prism can separate colors? Do you think this separates your voice so that you can talk to the frequency that hits the summon so that you can summon it?
No, I think that it's like Harry Potter, and the materials are like wands, and the people cast the spells themselves. And that's how you can cast spells with your limit breaks as well, even though you don't have a materia for them.
So Hojo also is like, oh, by the way.
So that's the end of Matt's Head Shop Corner.
The reason that I'm so excited about sending all this love gushing over to Sephiroth is because he's my son. That's right.
What?
You heard me.
That's right.
He is my son. There is a scientist lady I worked for. I got her pregnant, and then we spliced in some Genova things, and Vincent's real not happy about this whole story. He does not like where this is going. He's real mad.
Is this true, Jim?
It is true.
And
how do you know?
So there was a lady that they were experimenting on.
Hojo is an unreliable narrator.
Vincent was in love with her, and he let her kind of be impregnated
we'll talk
with
about
the
this
Genova baby.
next time, I think.
Okay.
Let her?
Okay.
Why would we talk about it next time?
Because there's a whole...
That's why he feels so guilty.
We'll talk about like the other odds and ends we didn't do yet. Because we're kind of running out of time, and there's a whole thing.
Okay.
There.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You're right.
So he's like,
Anyways.
hey, I knocked up my assistant. And Vincent's like, I hate you. And you get into a big fight. And at first he's just like a normal man. But then he like swallows a pill. And the pill
Hojo's
makes him...
like, yo, Joe. And you're like, oh, no. And then he's like, let's go. And you're like, I don't know.
He swallows a pill of Genova stuff, I guess, and then grows real big, turns into a...
He says that I don't think he swallows a pill. I think he says that he's implanted himself with Genova cells.
But
I think he has some of the cooler boss designs in the game, actually.
When he's human, the attack he does to be turned into a monster is called pill. That's why I say he swallows a pill.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
But he also says that he has spliced himself with Genova cells, so...
He does, yeah. So maybe the pill
activates
it. Yeah, that's
so
what
the
I'm thinking.
Pill is like Harry Potter's wand, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So he grows into a big old monster. This is pretty fun. He's got like different sections that have different strengths and weaknesses. And then after
so he's a grower, not a shower.
He like turns into the final boss from Final Fantasy X, like a little floaty guy after you kill the big monster guy. I was a little surprised by the big floaty boss because he like has breasts.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. He goes through like 3 or 4 different iterations.
You did, Jim.
And his final iteration is it's a little chesty person, and you fight that, and then eventually he dies, to which Vincent says, rest in peace, Hojo.
Says,
I was kind of surprised that he was like cool. Then I guess he like turn off the fluid pump to Sephiroth that Hojo had going.
Mhm. Hojo was pumping
that-
him full of fluid.
Mm-hmm.
wait. Is that what was going on?
Yeah, he was like about to start the
It
beam
was
again,
energy.
which was going to make the reactor explode or the whole city explode. And that's why he had to turn it off.
I think Hojo is cool. Not what he does is cool. We're not going to do that again. But I think he's a well-written character.
He's an anime villain.
I like that he's because like when you compare him with Professor Gast, who is like his predecessor, who is Aristad, Professor Gast was very scrupulous and cared about his subjects, and then Hojo's like absolutely without ethics totally.
I think he'd be scrupled, not scrupulous.
Absolutely without ethics totally is cool, according to Jim Bex. Got it.
Yeah, isolate that audio.
Vanessa will play that sound clip all the time. So then you kill Hojo, and you get one more little scene at the end, a little tag to this chunker, where you're all back on the ship. Ooh, this is Vanessa. This is an important part.
Yeah, I know. This is the most important part of the game.
So Barrett's like, hey, you know what? Actually, he's talking to Reeve on the phone. He's like, by phone, I mean large Moogle and cat with a megaphone. I feel real bad about killing those people. We should have done it a different way. Also, we have about a week before the meteor falls, so everyone should go see their family and decide if they're going to fight with us. If not, it's fine. If they do, that's great. And then what happens, Vanessa?
Everyone sort of has a conversation about where they're gonna go. Barrett is gonna see Marlene, I guess, and Sid is gonna go talk to the woman he abuses, and the cat is going to go see his grandpa. Who else do we got? We got Yuffie. She's gonna go see her dad. And Vincent, I guess, is just going to go, cry because he's an emo boy. And then Tifa and Cloud are just kind of left behind. And they're like, wow, I guess we don't have anyone to go see because, remember, our whole village burnt down. And Tifa's like, yeah, well, we can see each other. And Cloud's like, how much can we see of each other? And Tifa's like, we can see all of each other.
But they have sex on the dirt. Do they have sex though? It seems pretty. It looked like they were just like
absolutely do.
What?
Why do you think that? Because I had never gotten that from that scene until like this playthrough, and some of our listeners talked about it.
Yeah.
Well, there's multiple versions of this scene.
Is there?
Yes.
One's real.
There's a triple X version.
Characters have affection levels, and you have to have Tifa at a certain affection level to trigger a version of the scene where it implies they have sex, I think.
Dude, I'm Tifa Town all the time. I went on a date with Tifa in the Gold Saucer.
The version I got was like, yeah, let's hang out together tonight, and then cut to black, and then cut to them just sitting there.
I think that's the only version of this cutscene.
No.
Oh.
What?
Boom, motherfuckers.
The version I got was...
Tell him, Vanessa. You
I
fucking
will.
tell him,
I'm
Vanessa.
telling him right now. The version I got... I'm telling him. They were sitting talking, and Tifa said something like...
Cloud finger bang
Yeah, I guess
Tifa.
Cloud was like, it's hard to say how I feel or something, and maybe
hard.
Tifa said that, and then Cloud goes, like, there's more than one way to show someone how you feel. And then it was like slow fade. Doing it in the Chocobo Shack.
What? How do you know they have sex?
That's not that ambiguous, John.
I don't. For me, it just faded back to them like leaning against each other with their clothes on the dirt.
Yeah, and then Tifa is like, oh, they like call them from the airship or something. They're like, hello down there. And Tifa's like, oh my God, do you think they watched? And she gets really upset.
In mine, she just was mad that they were listening into the conversation. She's like, "Do you think they heard what we said?"
Oh, in mine, she definitely says, "Do you think they watched?"
Wow.
Oh man.
Oh, Jim's like, fucking Tifa loves me, dude. Wrong, motherfucker.
Hey, you guys talk about Tifa hooking up with somebody else?
Let this be a lesson
This
for
has been
you
the most
all.
amazing moment of
It
my life.
takes a busty lady to know a busty lady.
So I think that's the end of. Oh yeah, so everyone's back on the ship. They all snuck in so they could watch Cloud and Tifa like have 8 kinds of different sex. Like they even did it on camera. They did it on the bathroom floor.
Oh, it wasn't him.
They didn't. No, it was him.
How many of these are we going to do this episode? Did Sephiroth do this?
How could Cloud forget that he had given her some extra D?
How could Cloud forget that Barrett, Sid, Ketchy, Red 13, Yuffie could be upstairs watching?
I love that we're into the 90s jams on this
Yeah, it's a
episode.
real 90s jam kind of episode.
It is. Are you going to make a note of that for the episode title?
No, I'm just, someone keeps changing disc 2 to disc poo.
Now it's disc 2 poo.
So everyone came back and they're like, you know what? We're here. We're queer. We're going to kill Sephiroth.
We don't want any more
You know what?
bears.
I think this honestly would have been cooler if at least one
That's what I believe you
character
meant
said
to
they
say.
weren't coming back.
Who would, okay.
Like if
One
like,
character didn't come back, who would it be?
Not me.
Red 13?
Mm,
He's not in danger.
yeah, because he's not a
out in-
human. Well, I guess Meteor
Mhm.
would still kill
Who?
him.
Red 13.
Oh, I would say Yuffie.
You know who didn't come back? Eris.
What an asshole.
I did like that everyone thought Yuffie wasn't going to come back, and then she's like, hey, look, I've been hanging out in this stupid airship, getting sick, and it wasn't just to
Getting
ditch
laid.
you guys. I'm here, and I am going to destroy Sephiroth with the rest of you. Then I'll steal your materia. And everyone laughs and like,
don't
oh,
want any
Yuffie.
more bears.
Everyone laughs and
Yeah.
high fives.
Yeah.
on the
Honestly,
End
I think
of-
that Barrett would be the least likely to come back because he's got a kid. And a big meteor going to smash into the planet. You want to be there with your kids.
That's a good point.
He's a bad father.
He's a pretty
definitely-
bad
Yeah,
father.
he is.
I definitely thought that when this was going on. I was like, just go fucking. I'm not gonna. Now, for me, I'm not using him anyway. So I was like, just go spend the rest of your life with your child.
Mm-hmm. So, end of disc 2. And the end of this chunker.
Yay, we did it. We did it.
We got
We
2
did it.
summons for Jim's Summon Corner. Jim,
Mm-hmm.
how would you rank Bahamut 0?
Is this the Bahamut that shoots a laser at the Earth?
Yeah.
This is a definite 5 out of 5 cactuars.
Okay. What?
It's cinematic
Mhm.
and it's ridiculous.
I love that it's cut
And-
to the planet.
Yeah, cut to exterior the Earth. It's so funny and silly and it's fun to watch every time. So that's a big 5 out of 5 cactuars.
Now, what about Typhon/Typhoon?
Okay, this one I had because this is an optional materia.
Mhm.
Where do you get it, John?
You get it from the ancient forest where you where after you kill one of the Ultima weapon that you have to kill, the flying one, it crash lands.
Oh, that's Ultima, yeah, or Ultimate.
Yeah, so
Ultima.
it
I
crash
think.
lands, makes a crater, and it lets you get to this little secret forest where you can get a summon materia called Typhon, which is like a little Slimer guy.
It looks like a Slimer, but there's a head on the head and then a smaller head on the butt.
Which is radical.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't. What element is this materia?
I don't know if I think it's like a Oh, wind. It's definitely wind because it's like picking you up. In
Okay.
a big
It's wind
tornado.
and there's a head on the butt. Does it blow wind?
It spits out.
Oh,
It
hey.
does. It does. It like creates a tornado.
Whoa, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
It's a
fart
cute
summon.
So what do you think of the fart summon, Jim?
I'm going to give this one also a 5 out of 5 cactuars.
Wow.
Look at how much we've talked about it already. It's so interesting. And it's fun to watch, and it looks like a Slimer, and it's got a mouth or a face for a butt. So 5 out of 5.
So my challenge to myself for the bullshit minigame corner is to skip doing the gold chocobo entirely and just kill the ruby weapon and get the gold chocobo that way. And I've tried it so far. I have some strategies. They're a little hard to because it keeps whirlpooling away my friends, but I think I can do it. I think I can beat the ruby weapon. So I'll let
I
you
tried
know next
Emerald
time.
Weapon once, and even with the cheats on, it killed me. It party wiped me.
But otherwise, there weren't any notable mini games in this chunker. Just driving that sub, and I love driving that sub. It's so calm.
So next time on Square Roots,
Mm-hmm.
We're going to finish it.
I guess what you're saying, John, is that you want to talk about what we're squarely against.
Can I go first?
Sure.
Please.
I am roundly for Vincent's rad summons. I got all of them. They are great.
They're pretty cool.
I love his dumb summons. What about you, Jim?
Summons?
Or not?
You mean
Sorry,
limits?
limit breaks. Limit breaks. Yeah. Him turning into monsters and hitting things.
It's not as effective as the hit everyone on the screen with a whole shitload of damage limits of Cloud and Sid.
No.
So it kind of bums me out.
That's also Yuffie's too, by the way, which is more powerful than Sid's.
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah.
you had said that hers was good. Maybe I would have spent some more time with her if I had really realized I was going to go so far as to collect final summons.
I also got
final limits.
I got Tifa's final limit break, and that one's she just like charges a super hard punch, but it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like Tifa.
I mean, we've never talked about Omni Slash, the fucking best thing that's ever happened.
Just a lot of slashes. I like Yuffie's that's like an Omni Slash. It's called like Dead Time or something. Death to Everyone.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's not her level 4.
No, but it's kind of the same thing, and she just slashes everyone up.
She does. Oh, it's like blood something.
Yeah.
Blood Harvest. Blood
Harvest.
Yes.
That's what it is. Yes, that one's
Even
really
has a
good.
badass name.
It is. It is pretty. Actually, all of her limit breaks have pretty cool names. Even her final one is All Creation, I think, and she just fires a giant laser at every enemy on the
cool.
screen.
That's so cool. I think she's my favorite. Yeah, I think my party for the end will be Cloud, Yuffie, and Tifa. Yuffie and Tifa.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who's next?
You are.
All right, fine. I am roundly 4 ultimate weapon walking out of the sea like Godzilla, and you have to go like poke him in the toe. It's awesome. It looks so silly that it really does look like a is it Toho? It looks like a fucking Toho movie with him coming out of the sea and stomping around like a stomping McStomperson. What happens if you let ultimate weapon walk all the way to Midgar? Does it game over you?
Probably. I don't know.
That's a good question.
Oh my god. What if there's a whole different version of this game nobody's
Hold on.
ever
Yeah.
bothered with?
Google it.
What if it brings Eris back?
Oh my god!
Vanessa, what are you roundly for or squarely against?
I'm roundly for Kate Shee secretly being a super hot dude in a suit. I spent a lot of time thinking about how I wish that cats were super hot dudes in suits, but they're not.
Like Skimbleshanks.
Yeah, like Skimbleshanks. So that's what I'm roundly
He's
for.
the railway
Is that pair
cat.
of pants a suit?
It's a work suit.
It's a pair of pants with some suspenders on.
As a cat's purist, I was very disappointed that Skimbleshanks wasn't in overalls.
Wait,
But of
is
course,
that true? Because
the
you were also
ultimate
sending us
cat-
pictures of Skimbleshanks in like tights.
Nope, that was Jim.
Oh, you're right.
It was me and Jim.
Wait, what did I send?
some pornography like you do.
No, I think
send
that
to the
was
group
that
sometimes.
one was Vanessa because she was talking about his body.
Nope, it happened on an
Matthew
episode.
got mad the other day because I sent a
Don't tell the
cake.
story.
Okay.
Let's just say that cake
The
looked
vagina cake.
very edible.
Let's just say that my son was 3 feet away from me at the
I just
time.
saw Matthew immediately try to type periods into the chat to move the chat window down, and he did that for so long. It was so funny.
Oh no. Do we have any emails we want to read? I think we just had an email episode, so I think we're good.
I think we're good on emails.
Let's talk about Patreon. We
What's
have
that?
a Patreon, and people should subscribe to it.
What do they get if they do?
Jim, let me tell you what you get as your prize if you win Patreon by donating to us monthly. At the lower tier, you have access to all of our bonus episodes. We do one a month. We often let the Patreon vote on that episode, but sometimes we just kind of do whatever we feel is thematically similar to what we're working on the main show, or is new and hot, and we are playing anyway or watching anyway. Do all sorts of stuff. On the higher tier, the $5 tier, you get voting rights. What? That's right. You get to tell us what to play. Like twice a year. Not that often. Probably should be more if we want more patrons to do that. But you know what? We got to do what we got to do. It's a complicated show. That's what our patron stuff is. And the big thing is if you're a patron at any level, we read your name at the end of the show. And we're going to do that right now. Jim.
Whoa. I'm going to kick us off. It's Greg. How does John pronounce his last name? Lachari?
Well, he doesn't pronounce his first name Greg, so that's a good place to start.
Sorry, Gage.
I call him Greg Lackerite.
I think I've definitely said that on the show.
Is this an aluminium situation?
But a lot of times with French last names, if they're American, he might not pronounce it Lacharite. Like it might be a Lackerite thing because some Americans take their French last names and then kind of Americanize them.
Yeah, Gage Lackerite could be like a southerner. It might be Lackerite.
Okay, Mr. Gage Lackerite,
Mm-hmm.
G. Bailey, Vanessa's mom, that one guy, Robert M. Pollum, Jared Collins, Aaron Bachman, Armin Hammer, Hifumi is waifu for Ron
Waifu.
in Persona 5 Royal, Adam Zimmerman, your pal, Zochief Panicotta Flamingo, Cameron Shoei, Matthew Newland, Robert J. Defendi, Wash in the Wind, Aaron Little, Ross Hartley, Andrew, Ryan Miller, Clouds Drive, Distant Cousin, Rainy Altercation, Patrick W. Bears, Justin Rash, Vanessa's fourth mom, Stephen Kroc, Alexander Jokic, Matt Jorgensen, Galendo, Hudson Roth, Michael Crawford, Mary Queen of Scoffs, Rusty Kamada, and Andy Best.
We'd also like to thank Tyler Petty, the Phantom Scofflaws of the Opera, Kiva Mosser, Chris Penyak, Megan Sullivan, Andy Smith, Jonathan Smith, Anthony Cruz, George Brady, Gregory, Benjamin Avner, Paul Bursch, and John totally did. Tavis Nickerson, Amanda Douglas, did LeBlanc do this? Squall would beat Cloud in a fight. Stephen Paget, Tracy Tanoff, Cloudy with a Chance of Meteor, Just Jerry, Go Home Square Roots, You're Drunk, Only a Little, Ward Childress, Ari Kopavara, Brady A. Bourbon, Harold is Reddit Lauder. That's not what that said. I'm going to leave it. Samu Mitchell, Moistgasm, Robo Vanessa's Robo Mom, and
Ooh, that's a good one.
T. Bumpkins.
Lexa Varial, Devin Sloan, Sean Walsh. I did it. Squall would beat Cloud in a foot race on the beach like in Guys.
Guys.
Nawford. Vanessa's mom says, "Stay inside, you twits." Jake Dickerson.
That's not what that says.
DeJethro. Sean.
That's an at symbol.
Jonathan Ellsworth. Matthew Casterline. Eric Garby. Good. Let the hate flow through you. James
Ooh.
Hostetler. It's a Kwame. Mario. Lear L of the Clearer. Raising Hooper.
That does not say racing.
Metal Gear Solid 1 in 2021. Citrus C, Randy Pierce, Grayson, Andres Rivera, Race Jenkins, Huxley Iguana, Sean Gonzalez, Matthew sounds like TJ Miller.
Your mom sounds like TJ Miller.
Oh, PJ Ans, and Chris Ryan.
Ashloy T, Miguel Torres, Moik Blomberg is Sharnru, Blurry Glurth, Wanderswan, Toom, Brian Pite, Justine Heim, Kupt Aus,
Juice time.
Natahan Poirot,
All right, you're dragging this out, pal.
Andrew Leinart, MB, GOSA, David Green, Florian Jonas Kramer, fine, say everyone's name, at least it annoys Matt, Isaac Wright, Robert T, Cake Ninja, Hexagon, Andy M, Sling Ping, Ringy Dingy, Joseph, Joshua Bennett, Christian Go, Sexy Grandma's boy toy is the Mighty Monarch, Mr. Mallard, Cyril the Wolf,
Cyril the Wharf.
Patak, Stu Skeel, and Grey Code.
All right, everybody, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. If you'd like to have an email read on the air, email us. We are squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group for smart, cool, very attractive people, or you can tweet at us. We are at Square Roots Pod.
Please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks to Tetrimino for letting us use their fantastic cover of JENOVA and Birth of a God. You can support Tetrimino on Patreon or check out their YouTube at Tetrimino VG Band.
Do it. They're awesome.
All right, everyone, for Square Roots, I am Jim Banks.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I'm Johnny Brandon.
And I'm Vanessa.
Bye.
Bye bye bye.